We've got a great group of people today, and they all have a great story to tell, and they've got a story of success to tell. And we all know success doesn't come easy. And we all know that there's a lot of hard work and a lot of risk-taking and a lot of ups and downs between being successful and starting out.
My name's Alvina Maynard. I did criminal investigations and counterintelligence work. I started off my career at Andrews Air Force Base, augmenting Secret Service, doing protection, but that offered a bunch of good adventures. I have River Hill Ranch, and on my ranch we grow clothes, meat, fur, leather, rugs, and they all come from alpacas. We have 95 head of alpacas there. In 2008, alpacas were officially made livestock here in the U.S. on the 2008 Farm Bill. So I started researching it, and so I say, people ask, number one question I get is, do they spit? And only when you really upset them, but they have long enough necks that you have enough time to grab their head and redirect it at somebody else. So just keep that in mind.
I'm an organic farmer. I grow 15 acres of vegetables. I'm an hour out of Sacramento, in Fairfield. And so that's what I try to do, is make this little world around me just a tiny bit better, whether it be better for myself, whether I become, get a machine that helps me, weed onions more efficiently, or I get a few more customers. And I know that the more customers I have, the more people's nutrition around me will be improved. And so that's what I do, and nothing else really matters when you really get down to it in terms of, on the big scale. Yeah, I get distracted by a lot of stuff. I'm doing graduate school now, doing international agricultural development. That's the master's program that I'm going for. So that's a big distraction from what's probably most important, that I keep digging in the ground. Because when I decided to dig in the ground and pay attention to the earth, I think that's when things actually kind of started happening for me. That's when I had a stable enough life that I could go to night school and get my undergrad. Just all these little peripheral benefits come up when you just stop moving around, let go of the chaos, focusing on this one thing, no matter what, has been really valuable for me. Not to mention, everybody claims, oh, it's hard. When we talk about farming, how many people have talked to your friends and family about farming? You want to start farming, like, oh man, it's hard work. You're not going to make any money. All of that stuff. Or, especially when people say it's really hard and you probably can't do it. You might as well put it, for veterans, you might as well put like a welcome mat.
I'm a chicken farmer. It's not as cool as being a cow farmer. You get made fun of quite a bit. There's no belt buckles. So anyways, I farm. That's how I make my living. I was in the Army for a while. Iraq was what it was. I was there from 04 to 05. I was a gunner in a gun truck, and I came back and had some issues up in the head and a lot of issues in the back and the neck. I had to drop out of grad school. I went from being like cum summa laude or something like that, the smartest guy in the department, in a soil science department in grad school. And in a week, I lost the ability to remember numbers and that, and I couldn't get some really bad images out of my head. And I kind of went crazy. And then for some reason, Margo hired me to be a poultry specialist. I run a veteran training program, I guess. In the Farm Bill, I'm listed as a farmer veteran mentor, someone told me. But we've trained about 100 and something folks out on our farm. I get a lot of combat vets. I get a lot of guys with PTSD. The farm's going well. We've built it up over the 7 years. We do about $250,000 in sales. We hire folks. We hire other vets. I've got vets that pay $30,000 a year.
So I'm Josh. I own and I operate Ranger cattle. The story, as far as kind of how we came about, I signed a contract to become an Army Ranger, and that path led me on for 5 years. I did 4 combat deployments. I went to Iraq 3 times and Afghanistan once. I was incredibly busy that entire time. So when we weren't deployed, we were training to be deployed again. And the training, it's constant. So, but the good thing about that was it gave me time to save up a little bit of money. On my last deployment to Afghanistan, I was wounded in a near ambush. And my deployments had started to take a little bit of a toll on my family. My sister had started asking, like, hey, what are you actually going to do with your life? And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm kind of enjoying my life right now. And she's like, hey, there's a lot more to it. There's a value in education. You should, you know, think about it. So kind of just to make her happy, I applied to college. I didn't expect to go. It was just kind of so she wouldn't nag me anymore. And somehow I get accepted. I still don't really know how, but I didn't ask a whole lot of questions. But I got accepted to the University of Texas. I get out of the military, and 2 weeks later, I'm in a campus. You know, I hadn't been in college for 5 years, or I hadn't been in any kind of educational system in 5 years, and now all of a sudden I'm at like a pretty legitimate school. And it was kind of, and so I'm studying, and I'm surrounded by these kids, and I'm just looking at like, wow, I feel like I'm a little bit older, but still young at heart, right? And I'm kind of out running around probably more than I should, probably drinking a little more than I should, and I'm watching that bank account kind of dwindle down a little bit every weekend, and I'm like, all right, I gotta invest in something, right? I gotta do something with my life. So I started looking, and I'm like, well, I'm in Texas, you know. I can probably drill for oil, or I could raise cattle. You know, it seems like I got a couple options. So a week later, I'm in a bar conveniently, and having a couple beers, and there's like cute little blonde, and you know, so I'm trying to sweet talk her or whatever, and so is this other guy, and the other guy's like trying to impress her by saying how you just spent $100 on a steak. I'm like, you know, I don't know much about steaks, but I know $100 is probably, it must be a really good steak. So I'm like, hey, what's the name of that? And they're like, oh, that's Wagyu. I was like, what? I'd never heard of Wagyu beef before, so I kind of put it down on my phone, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at that. So later, so I go out, and I start doing a little bit of research. I Google this breed and whatnot, and I find, hey, there's people right outside of Austin, Texas, where I'm going to school that are raising these animals. And that all happened like on a Saturday night. And that next Thursday, I bought a herd of cattle. I didn't have a truck. I didn't have any land. There wasn't much planning involved. It was just, it seemed like an idea. I literally ran with it. And so now I have 16 heifers. Luckily they were bred because I didn't buy a bull. And things kind of happened. So I'm going to school on the GI Bill. So I do it. I take entrepreneurship. And I can hardly say it, but I learned a ton in that class. It was amazing. So we're sitting there, and it was great. So in that, we had to make a fake company, right? Well, I had little Ranger cattle on the side. You know, those 16 heifers, they were still with me. By this time, they had like multiplied it. It sounds kind of like, people laugh when I say this, but cattle herds, they grow, and they grow fast. And no one ever told me, hey, you know, you have these 16 heifers. Well, it's going to be twice as many in just a few months. So the cattle company over the couple of years in college, it was really starting to grow. So I was like, I got to take a business class. I need to learn how to crunch some numbers, right? And so I did that, and we created my small Ranger cattle, right? That was our practice, or our project. And I had 5 other students in the classroom with me, and they worked for me. They were my interns. And that's how we were able to really reach out to the community. That's how I was able to take the next step from just a small cattle company to an actual legitimate beef company. We're using the Homegrown by Heroes label, thank you. And I think I'm the only one in the world selling bull semen with that label. I'm not sure, but I think we are. So, I guess that's my claim to fame there. Yeah. If any others in the market for bull semen, and you would like the Homegrown by Heroes, yeah, I can set that up for you.